This is Luca Mino. We're back with Learn to Unlearn and with Roger Laundry, my guest mentor, uh, uh, TLB project director, and one man encyclopedia extraordinaire. Good afternoon, Roger.
Okay, you gave me a tall order to live up to, but I appreciate it. What you failed to tell everybody is that Roger and the Liberty Beacon Project wouldn't be anywhere near as good as it is if it wasn't for sterling people like yourself.
Oh, cute. Okay, well, I'm coming back. And
Yes.
this is what this show is about. This show, I got to stop moving because I'm sitting in my lazy boy today. I'm sitting here with my laptop on my lap. Get it? Laptop. And uh, because I can't sit down in my computer chair yet, but that's I'm here. So Mount Everest, the summit is up here. So I'm working towards the summit every day, and it's called attitude. And those are one of the three things that I want to touch on today with you, Roger. Is there's attitude, um, there's going with the flow, and there's working on yourself. And I'm proof. I'm proof that it works. I don't care what anybody says. You can't argue with City Hall. Finally, I'm
Well,
City Hall, right?
it has been proven statistically,
Hmm.
okay, that attitude plays a big role in someone's repair, someone getting better from something, someone being cured from something, especially if it's something that's going to take place over a period of time. Attitude
Hmm.
is a factor
It's
in
everything.
healing.
For
It
me,
is.
it was everything. And I didn't even notice it because I didn't really have to work on it. It's just something that happened naturally for me. And I wanted to talk about attitude because, uh, it's all about setting yourself up, and I started realizing it that, when you get close to death, it's like, whoa, things start to happen that are kind of unusual. And one of the things for me was my mind, my brain hears me speak, I'm sick. I don't feel good. Oh, recovery is going to take a long time. Where's my pill? Um, the same thing as you are what you eat. Well, you are what you think and you are what you believe as well. It's your choice, right?
Yes. It's a little bit more, I think, than your choice. It's driven by attitudes and fears. And today, we see so much of what I like to call programmed ignorance. Actually, the entire mission statement of the Liberty Beacon Project is the eradication of programmed ignorance. And this is what you're talking about, okay? A lot of times, attitude is definitely, it definitely benefits, and I don't, definitely benefits or is influenced by fear. And fear is a mechanism. Fear is the most effective mechanism for the control of man's mind utilized by mankind.
See, this is what happens. I didn't send him my notes, right? So now he's talking about something that I was going to talk about next in my notes. Piss me off. Great minds think alike. Roger, I kid you not. I'm just interrupting you for a second to talk to you about the fact that I was going to mention that we're living in a fear-based society, right? And that's how marketing works. Dependency on products, dependency on government, finally incapable of thinking or healing for yourself. And this was one of the big parts of my show today that I wanted to talk about, because if you're not in control of your own healing, nobody is.
If you stop to consider the effectiveness of fear, okay, if I wanted to
Oh,
change the minds of people across an entire country, if not an entire planet, okay, I wouldn't go around telling everybody, hey, the sun's out today. This is going to be a good day. Everybody's got to really think positive. Let's go. Okay, that's going to be about as effective as it really
yeah.
is. There's going to be a lot of people that will take that upbeat message and it will peter out as they go along. But if you stand up in front of a nation or the entire world and say, if you don't all lock down in your homes and do everything I tell you, you're going to die by the millions, if not by the billions, and watch the world react.
Mhm.
There is no mechanism of mankind's control that even comes close to the fear mechanism. Nothing.
Mhm. Well,
It's just
uh,
been proven again.
we talked about the fear mechanism,
Yeah.
and that's what they tried to put into me at the oncologist's office,
Yes.
looking at me so close to me that it was like, I felt like I had to back up. This authoritative nonsense, and because I didn't take chemo or radiation, and it was like, no, I'm not going to. And in one of the shows that I'm going to be doing in the near future, I'm going to be talking about what happened and why I was no longer a candidate for chemo and radiation, because I went too low. I went too far down, uh, to the point of, sometimes maybe not even having a pulse. The nurse kind of looked at the other nurse and said, I don't feel a pulse. But anyway, we're going to get into that. Um, um, Doctors kill more people than guns or cancer.
Yes.
Doctors are the third leading cause of death in the US per year after cardiovascular disease and cancer. Roger?
Well, it's we talk about
But we're not
doctors.
ready for that conversation, right? We're not ready for that.
No, no. We talk about doctors as if they are superhuman. This is,
God.
again, the programmed ignorance that is instilled in us from the time of birth. If your doctor tells you to
Yes.
do something, you don't question it. You just do it. Why? Because he's a doctor. That means he's from a different species. He doesn't have the ability to do stupid things. He doesn't have the ability to have a bad day. He doesn't have the ability. He's a doctor. You
Hmm.
don't question anything he says or anything he tells you to do. But again, what most people don't understand is that a doctor lives in an experimental world. Just because they taught me what happens if I do something in school doesn't mean that every individual I do that to, and they're all different individuals, and their diseases are a little bit different, and their symptoms are a little bit different. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get the exact same results from each one of these patients. You made the right decision. When you went to that meeting, you came back, you had a recording.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh no, that
You,
that that was the urology doctor. It went a
well,
lot
they
worse.
was one of them.
It went a lot
That was
worse than
you.
that.
That was you
Ooh.
basically telling a doctor that you were not going to put up with chemotherapy, and you were not going to. Yeah, okay. The thing of it is, if you had, with the cancer as spread as it was amongst your organs, as it was, the requirement was yes, some surgery had to be done. But you had enough cancer in your organs that it took a secondary tool to help us control that, so that when the surgery was done, they could pronounce you cancer free. And that was cannabis. And anybody out there who doesn't think that cannabis is part of the reason this guy is looking at you right now and smiling, you're an idiot.
Mhm. Well, we're going to get into that in probably another show, because that'll be too long for today.
Oh, yeah.
But I really, I'm not very good at this. I mean, I'm not Victor Hugo. I mean, I don't know how to. I'm not a poet, but I do know how to structure. And what I wanted to talk about was a really interesting dip in my health. And now that I'm out looking in, I can see where this whole thing happened, and I wanted to share it with you today. So last night it was kind of complicated because I was taking notes and I was trying to figure out how to explain all that. But I finally got to the point where even Roger, like, if Roger doesn't understand it, forget it. We won't do the show anymore, but I'm sure he will. Um, you have to trust yourself. And I'm going to go from the end of the show to now, because we're going to be talking about this towards the end. But you have to trust yourself, right? So I was feeling pretty good, even in the hospital. I was coming back. I was feeling good, and it was going up. It was going up, and it was going up, and it was, and I was feeling good. And then the nurse looked at me and she said, your blood pressure is too high, and we're worried about it, and we're going to give you high blood pressure medicine right away. And I didn't question it at all. And that was a big mistake, because my blood pressure is fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Well, they give me the blood pressure medicine, and that's what made me go down and down and down and down. Because when I came home, it went from being able to walk a little bit and being okay, like I was doing in the hospital, to no walking at all. Crushed in the lazy boy, this one here, for 3 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. I was crushed in the lazy boy, and finally one day, very quickly, the nurse comes in. She takes my pulse, and she goes, "Do you did you try to take his pulse? Okay, Luca, can you stand up?" And when I stood up, I felt so dizzy that I had to sit back down again because my blood pressure was so low. The blood pressure was 70 over 52
Ouch.
when they finally got a pulse. Um, and right away we called the doctor, and they got me off the blood pressure medicine. Guess what? It went straight up. After that, I healed, like everything fell into place like dominoes. And that's, the doctors don't know everything. That's why it's so important for us to really get to know ourselves and to be able to work on ourselves. And, I went from coming home, not being able to do dishes, not being able to get dressed. I stayed in my underwear and a t-shirt for at least a month and a half to 2 months in the lazy boy. Finally, I couldn't walk anymore. I couldn't shower, shave, do dishes, make coffee, nothing. And, it's something to go through, let me tell you. So
I remember you
this
going
is,
through that.
yeah, see,
I do.
Roger and I were talking every week. And it's thanks to my sister also, um, who was a nurse's, a doctor's assistant, a nurse's aide. She worked really carefully and closely with a lot of people, so she recognized a lot of the symptoms, and she was helping me move in the right direction, and that really made a difference. And Roger, you guys have been a blessing, uh, for to me, for in more ways than one.
Well, first off, I like the way that you explain these things because what most people get is this is what happened, this is what he took, this is what he did, and this is how he is now. What most people need to understand is there's a human side to every bit of this. And that human side, again, if your doctor's going to be effective, and listen to what Lucas said, doctors don't know everything. And one of the biggest issues most doctors have is they don't know you. I don't care if you've been going to the same doctor for 5 years. You walk in, you say, okay, I'm all right. Let's give you a checkup, your yearly checkup or whatever. They go through that,
Mm,
blam, blam, and you're out of there.
mm.
Okay. When's the last time you weren't feeling well and you sat down with your doctor and you explained to him what was going on? How did you feel this way? When did it start? What had you done just before that? The more a doctor knows about you, in particular you, the more effective that doctor is. Today, everything is on a schedule. Everything is maximize the amount of work that can be done or services that can be performed in the minimum amount of time. Get a patient in, get a patient out. Okay,
Mm.
you look at this doctor's schedule and every minute is scheduled. What happens if something goes over? So they try very hard not to let that happen. So, as Lucas said, doctors don't know everything. But one of the biggest issues you can solve with your doctor is making sure your doctor knows you.
Right. And I'm gonna take it from there because I think the higher up in here in hierarchy that the doctors are, the less that they communicate with the
Yes.
patients. Okay. So when you're on the family doctor level, it's a
Yep.
lot easier to be able to talk to him. And this is a heads up, and I'm probably gonna show him the video. It's a heads up to my doctor, Dr. Hans Raj, RAJ, who's working with the Quincy Medical Group here, who really, we're to the point where we give each other a hug when we see each other. He comes into the office and both our masks come off. It's like, yeah, okay, Anyway, um,
But he knows you, and you
yes,
made sure of that.
and that's the idea. It's to make relationships work,
Yep.
and it's intent, it's attitude. Again, there's the word, you know.
Hold on, let me interrupt you for 1 second because you're making a sterling point. If a doctor comes in and Lucas says, this is what's happening, the doctor says, that's happened 1,000 times before, and this is what I told everybody to do. So he gets ready to tell Lucas, this is what you need to do. And Lucas says, but you know what? Just before that happened, I went through this. And the doctor all of a sudden stops. He
Mhm.
looks at Luca and he totally modifies what he was going to have Luca do. Again, let's talk about the importance of not only you knowing your doctor, but your doctor knowing you. Please go on.
Yes, and your doctor being on the right angle, your doctor being on the right slant. He has to have the right attitude, just like you. This doctor told me that if this urology doctor doesn't work that I'm sending you to, we'll just get another one. Uh, and
I love it.
that one day, December, and it was a Thursday. It was I came home December 3rd. It was the same time before I couldn't walk anymore, but I really couldn't walk anymore. When I got to the doctor's office, I had to call them and tell them to bring out a wheelchair because I couldn't walk anymore. That's how bad it was. They brought me in by wheelchair, and I went into his office by wheelchair. I had to stay in it. I couldn't walk, and he put both hands between my legs, and he says, now squeeze, close your legs. And he said, that's just muscle, not a problem. He says, you just keep working your muscles, you'll be fine. And that was
That
it.
was December 3rd. Hold on, that was December 3rd. Now, let me see. You're going out, you're driving, you're participating in things you used to do before all of this started.
Yeah.
When you keep saying to us, it's going up, 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 and up, I can see it, and I'm glad.
The only thing I'm worried about is gaining weight because I'm really enjoying the cannabis part, because people have to understand that cannabis is a lot more than just a pain reliever, which is one of the biggest reasons why I used it, because I came off of those meds. I was qualified for oxycodone, whatever. It's like, no, I have enough problems with that. I don't need an opioid addiction. So smoking marijuana or taking marijuana for the pain is something amazing. But with that comes a munchies. So you can easily gain weight, and I don't want to
Yes,
do that. I went from 215 all the way to 157, and
wow,
now I'm 172. I think 172.1 this morning.
pretty good.
Um, so I don't want to go all the way back up again. Now's my chance.
No,
But I lost so much weight that you can see a lot of flab on the arms, and on the legs.
now you
It's
got to
amazing.
exercise.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, look, let's talk about that for just a second because I know this is probably going to be another whole show, but let's let people know a couple of things. All right. Anybody who feels that because you see somebody who definitely has cancer
Mm.
and they are on medical marijuana, that they are, and they're just stoners. Let me explain something to you. CBD and THC are the two main chemicals that have bodily, relate to our bodies. The CBD, what does it do? It's actually a health builder, and it will do a lot to not only maintain but to increase your health. Not only that, but the human brain has built-in receptors for cannabis. Yeah, the human brain has cannabinoidal receptors in it. Not a joke. Please go look that up. But what most people don't understand is they think that if you have cancer, you're taking or utilizing cannabis for the CBD principle, that it's going to help your health.
Yep.
No, CBD does not help cancer. Believe it or not, the same stuff that makes you high is what kills the cancer, the THC. So if you're looking at somebody who is on medical marijuana and has definitely got cancer, and they seem a little ditzy every now and then, pat them on the back and tell them, good thing. They're medicated. That's where they need to be.
Mm. And I can feel it too. Um, I really can. It's a body stone. You're not really some people like this couch potato and the movie stuff with those two guys, whatever it is, whatever it's called. It's not a Hollywood thing. This is a really serious
Yeah.
healing issue, and it really works. The only reason why it didn't work before is because I didn't have $6,000 to get that much THC ridden pot to be able to the oil to be able to heal right
Yeah.
away and to knock the stage 4 cancer that I had, stage 4, in November
And if you
when I
stop
went
to
in there.
consider that the organs that were removed in your surgery, okay, if you hadn't been on the regimen you had been on, that cancer probably would not have been confined to those organs. That cancer probably would have been pretty much throughout your body.
Mhm.
So you did yourself good. You did.
And you know what? Now that I look back, I I can't believe the commercials, guys, guys and gals. Uh, there's a company called Hero that just came out with um, a nice big something. It's about that big that you put in front of you on the chest, and it manages your pills for you. It's a medication manager, right? You just fill it up and you tell it what to do and what you need to take per day, you know? And I got to read you these injections too, okay? Uh, uh, every time I saw a commercial on TV about injections, I wrote it down. And like you're talking Ozempic, Omnipod Dash, Keytruda, Aimovig, Prolia, Duplexent, Fazenra, Neulasta Onpro, Gardasil 9, Fasnera, like the list is long, Botox, Trulicity, Skyrizi, Tremfia. Where do they come up with these names? You know, and I'm sitting there every single time I had the commercial on, and there was something that was, you know, that anything related to injections, got to write it down. I had to throw that in because this is what we're bombarded with every day.
If if you stop to consider there are scientists screaming across the planet, there's another article on the Liberty Beacon today stating that if they don't stop this global injection fever, this madness they're doing, that there will be a much bigger die off from the vaccine or the vaccine side effects than COVID 19. And it's already in some places, and I believe one of them is Israel, where reaction to the vaccine has outstripped deaths from COVID 19. So if you start to consider, or excuse me, side effects, negative side effects from the vaccine, not deaths, have already exceeded those affected by COVID. Now, if you stop to consider it, that's a microcosm. That's a small country. It's smaller than New Jersey. The total population doesn't even make 9 million. So again, it's a microcosm. It's the world's lab rats right now.
I wonder why.
And
I wonder why. You know, it's a
uh,
creation of the Rothschilds. I wonder why. You know, what's China? China is a model for the Rothschilds. And if everything works in Israel and it works in China, it'll work in the USA. They're just having fun with their colonies, getting them ready for depopulation.
yeah, well, that's where I was going. I didn't want to beat
Oh,
this up too bad because,
no.
again, that's another whole show,
Yeah, but
literally.
that's what we're looking at. It's like matriarchy and patriarchy. Patriarchy is destroying the planet. Matriarchy, it's like the opposite. It's what comes from the earth, doesn't come from a lab, you know, and it heals you. And this is where we're going. This is where I'm going. And anybody that wants to go with me is more than welcome.
There's nothing wrong. Okay, everybody listen up here because I want to expand a little bit on what was just said. And I don't think he meant it in the way that some of you may be taking it. There is a place for man made medicine.
Mhm.
The point here is that you don't change nature, you help nature, you assist nature.
Yes, thank you.
Man-made chemicals can and will do that, and there are some very benign medications that have been helping humanity for a very long time. Let's stop and consider that hydroxychloroquine has the ability to absolutely get rid of anything even remotely close to COVID-19 or
Oh,
SARS-2 in
there's that word
anybody's
again.
body, but they've made it illegal. They've shut it off.
Mm.
They've told everybody don't use it. In some countries, you can't even buy it. Why? Because if you use that cheap stuff and it makes whatever infection you have go away, you don't need to make GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer, or I don't know, Johnson and Johnson more fabulously rich than they already are.
Right. Don't get
Did
me
I really
going.
say
Don't get me
that?
going. Don't get me going. We're going to get on another tidal wave.
Well, you just got me going.
Well, Roger, it's been a slice. This was really, since we went around the world twice, we may as well go around again. But it's it's really uh, it's really good to have you on my team, on next to me, like in the family. And I'm thanking you publicly for everything you've done for me until now. And I am basically the result of what people like you and my sister and my brother and people very close to me, like my friend Chris and his family, what they've done for me, and the attitude that you have. And it's humbling, believe me. Going through what I went through is very humbling. So in the nutshell, what I'm going to be doing is going back and visiting the stuff that I would rather not remember. One of the things is going to be the shower that I'm going to be sharing with people. That's a hairy one, and that's you know
Oh God, you're
uh
talking about showers and telling us how hairy you are. I've got a picture I won't be able to get out of my mind now.
uh-oh, uh-oh, no, that's okay. Um, Meanwhile,
Yes.
I'm going to go change my bag that I have here. This is the ostomy bag or colostomy bag. I forget. I can never get that word right. Colostomy, I think it is.
Yeah.
So, it's all a learning curve. You want to learn how to take care of yourself and how to heal. You'll learn. If you don't, fine. Natural law is like that. There's no mercy in nature whatsoever. So if you are what you eat, you are what you think, and you are what you say, and you are what you project. And this, I want to project healing big time.
Well, I would tell you that if if everybody had the same attitude towards life as you did, then when it comes to things like politics, when it comes to things like their freedoms, when it comes to things like, we wouldn't be in the middle of probably one of the biggest crises this country has ever seen
Oh,
since 1776. You have a good attitude, Luca. As far as you showering praise, the thing of it is, none of us who decided that we were going to do what we could to make sure that you stuck around, none of us saw the trade-off as being beneficial to letting you go,
mm,
as to keeping you around and letting you share the wisdom that you did even prior to finding out that you were sick. In other words, the gains for all of us as your friends far outweighed the neglect. We didn't even consider the neglect.
very nice of you.
All
Good.
right. Well,
You
I
had to say
appreciate
that,
you
eh?
inviting me on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really it's been a slice. I'm not sure if I'd like to do it again,
No.
but I don't think I'd do it differently. There's a few things I had to look into because I don't understand why I lost my hair. I lost a lot of hair, and I hope they can vaccinate you, for God's sake, when you're under. They can do anything they want with you. So I hope they didn't do anything too much because I'm losing. I'm getting very, very, very thin up on top, and I lost my length. I had my hair down to here before. So anyway, it's stuff to look into. Thank you for your time, Roger. I know you're very busy, and I had to do this show with you. And this is going to be a kickoff for other ones. And we're going to visit healing naturally without chemo or radiation, as we have been. I think it's going to be episode 48 or 49 or 50.
49.
See,
49.
he knows better than I do.
Yeah. Oh, guess who puts up all of his yeah,
Yeah, my
I put
editor.
up all of his shows.
Yeah,
All right. And if and when you would like me to sit in, it's always a pleasure. It is.
it's great. Thank you so much, Roger. Have a good night and or a good rest of your day. And thank you everybody for listening. And I'm glad to have everybody be part of the healing. We'll see you next time.